Hey everyone, this is Ultra Runner. Welcome back to the channel. Today I just wanted to talk to you guys about one of my favorite things I like watching when I go on YouTube is like collection videos, collection tours, office tours, things of that nature. And really I use it to get ideas. One, there's a lot of cool creativity out in the collecting space. So, a lot of us, have either ideal places that we have our collections in, or maybe we have temporary place we have our collections in. Maybe the collection area is going through a transition or something like that. And so it always inspires me to watch other people's collection tours to see, hey, that's a great idea. Maybe I should try that myself. Or, I was thinking about doing this and they told me, hey, this particular collector said, hey, I wouldn't do that if I had to do this again because it didn't really work out for me, this, that, and the other. So for me, I was like, let me do this as a new collector, someone who just started recollecting again, I guess truly in 2023. Well, no, I guess it's been 2022 when I started recollecting, but I really didn't get into hot toys and back into I didn't get into hot toys and then back into comics until really recently. That's 2024. So I wanted to kind of just show you guys my space, kind of my ideas behind it. I won't go into too much detail on some of the minutia of like what's up, but I'll just kind of show you guys what I have, my thoughts behind it, and how that actually works out. So I'll start here. This is my work area here. This is my desk. I do work from home. And so, I've got, you guys seen it before, got the Herman Miller chair. I've got a pretty basic desk. I wasn't looking for anything that was sit stand. I just wanted something with drawers. It was nice and a really big front. And I got that from Amazon. And then, so this is kind of where it all started from. So this desk has moved. It used to be over here where my hot toys are, and it shifted. It was on this wall here for a bit. It was on this wall over here for a bit where my spin bike is, and then I eventually ended up right here. Now I have it centered to the wall, and then if you look at my collection right above it, it's kind of funny. Everybody always like, why is it off centered like that? Well, it's not. This G-Force poster is actually centered to the room, so everything's merged off of it. So in the event that this was a wall, I would actually have, of course, enough room for 3 more comics and things like that. I do keep my blind open. Most of the time, the lights that are on right now on the collection, these are usually off. The only ones I usually keep on are like, I have a separate switch for all the lights and then a switch for all the, like the lightsabers and things like that. So that's always stays on even throughout the day. But I'm just running this on right now for you guys, so you can see here. But so it's usually not this bright in here. I don't even keep the overhead lights in here. Just usually the 2 on my desk, and then I've got lights, LED govies that go around the desk, the bottom of the desk, and the back of the desk, and the back of the monitor, just to give me some ambient light. It helps better with your eyes and vision, stuff like that. So started here with my gear, all Logitech, stuff like that, Logitech G, just a big fan of that. And just a few things on my desk. So nothing crazy. I've got Boba Fett and Ultra Magnus, and then that'll eventually will be that'll get switched out for the fans toys when that finishes getting painted. And I've got a couple of knickknacks here with tons of art Boo, and then like that's a Cosby, Captain America Stitch, which Stitch is my favorite Disney character. And then right above it, I've got basically the wall kind of split in this, and this is probably going to come down because we've got a monitor coming, which is going to be an issue with height wise, so I'll have to get rid of that and move that somewhere else. But right now, symmetry, if you notice, there's a lot of symmetry in my office. Big thing, my background is engineering, and so tons of symmetry. If you even look here, this wall here. So I'm back out if I can just zoom out here. So you've got symmetry there. Then you've got the symmetry here, keeping it clean. And then this wall here, again, you got symmetry as well. So big part of my collection. I know a lot of you guys' collection too. And so when I really started looking at collections, I started looking at a lot of these guys were doing the big walls of like the module cases. And for me, all those rooms look like they were kind of like areas where you go to look at your toys, not stuff that you actually live with. And my thing has always been, I want my collection to live with me, not me to live with my collection. And what I mean by that is I don't want to make any special accommodations for my collection that takes me out of a normal area. So like a room with light. And I've gotten a lot of comments earlier like, hey, I would close that window. It's going to destroy your toys and things like that. And it's like, I mean, at the end of the day, I'd rather either sacrifice some of the figures longevity than to keep sunlight out of your room, because from a mental standpoint, sunlight is very good for us mentally. It's good for us physically. Vitamin D. It's just something about being in a dark room that does change how your mind works and your personality, which is why solitary confinement is always such a terrible place to go if you're in jail, because it does do something to you psychologically. So for me, I wanted a big bright window. I have my desk facing that wall so I can look out the window all the time. Got trees, grass. I mean, it's a neighbor's house, but my neighbors are not that really close to me as far as like actual distance. And it's just one of those things where you'll notice a difference in how you perceive things when you're looking at sunlight and looking out the outdoors constantly. So from there, what I want to do is, and I've changed this wall up a couple of times, but my absolute favorite piece is this poster I got from a comic book shop when I lived in Atlanta. That's no longer in business, and they were walking there to buy some stuff, and they were going to throw it away. And I was like, hey, what are you guys doing with that? He's like, oh, we're redoing the bulletin board. This is going. And I was like, well, hey, can I have it? He was like, sure. And so I was buying some Gundam, some Gunpla kits. And so he basically, the owner gave me the poster. So, and it's ratted and torn around the edges. But I put a mat on it, so a frame with a mat to kind of cover it up. But I'm probably going to end up taking that out later and having it where it's professionally framed, better glass, things like that, so you can see those edges, because I love that piece of it. And then as far as like what I'm looking at, as far as in my view during my day, is my favorite for female comic book heroes. So top is DC with Power Girl. And this is actually one I have signed by the artist, which is Art Germ. These are all Art Germ pictures, or comic book covers, by the way, which is just coincidental. He is my favorite artist, but I do have a few other artists up in here. But Power Girl, Wonder Woman, Psylocke, and Rogue. And Psylocke is inside. And then I've got like G-Force here with a couple figures. And so for me, I do a lot of mixed media. If you notice, if you look at the collection, there's comic books, there's posters, there's 12 scale, there's Masterpiece Transformers, there's 6 scale, there's, Cos Babies, a little Disney Infinity figures here and there. And for me, it's just like doing a good bit, but I think there's not quite a lot of stuff around. So like you look at my office, it doesn't look junky. Part of it, I think, is because I don't have a lot of collecting space, and everything that is up is on the walls, and you've got a lot of floor in the room. And this bike's going to go away. I'm going to end up having another like 2-person chair or couch in here. Just because, like I say, my family comes in here and hangs out, a lot of times because I'm in here working. And when guests come over, they'll come and sit here and sit and chill. Like I said, it's just a nice inviting area. So, and that's kind of what I wanted. Again, like I say, my collection living with me, not me living in my collection, making all these compromises so I can actually have a collection. And then, of course, deciding what goes up on the wall as for your decoration is like, hey, what really speaks to me and what's my favorite. So G-Force is one of my favorites, absolutely no. And if you guys know G-Force, you got G-Force, Gotcha Man, Battle of Planets, all adaptations that for the US. And then the only couple characters that were done, and these are the 12 scale. Well, technically they're supposed to be 12 scale, but they're a little bit larger. And then I've got, like I said, a few signed books. Most of the books I think I have on the wall are signed. And in here, I've got like my favorite comic books. So I've got Battle of the Planets. This is 1979. I've got the 1986 Transformers the movie, issue number 1. And then I've got the X-Men number 1. This is from 91, and this is actually signed by Stan Lee. With certificate of authenticity, can't even speak. And then once I get that one done, I've got some more people I want to have signed, like like Jim Lee and well, I'm having a brain fart. And then a couple others, and I'll have it probably graded. And then this is my favorite comic book here with the special label, 9.8. My favorite superhero female, which is Wonder Woman, by my favorite artist, and signed with the rare Chinese signature, which he never really does. So, but again, you know, those are when I'm sitting at my desk. So I'm gonna sit here. So when I'm sitting at my desk, let me kind of zoom out. This is like the view I have. So I'm looking at, you know, my Ultra Magnus, Masterpiece and my Delta Magnus. I've got some 12 scale stuff there, which is going to change. And next, if I spin around here, you can kind of see the room here. And, you know, it's neat because you've got a little bit of everything here and it represents who I am. And it's also I'm not encroaching on my actual space just to have characters and figures up. Everything is kind of like off to the side. Like, you know, I've got this corner desk here with Boba Fett, and the Arena Suit Boba Fett is kind of a placeholder until Malgus comes. And I just recently picked up this Battle Damage Vader. This is the special edition with the bonus piece, that piece there. And that piece is an 11 out of 10. It's crazy good. And a lot of people were talking about how it was a statue. If you use the regular cape, it's a regular Hot Toys figure. And even with that cape, you can still get a lot of different poses out of it. You just have to be careful with the cape because the cape does come into play. But, and again, like I said, if you go around here, so I've got posters up. You know, I've got my DC Universe, huge Snyderverse fan. And so I got the BVS here with, and I've got the Absolute Batman signed by John Jiang and remarked. And then I've got my Superman here, which is signed by Tyler Kirkham, who did the art, Jason Aaron, who wrote the story for Absolute Superman, and then Tom Welling, who was Clark Kent in Smallville. And so over here, and so those are just the way this works is you've got your DC poster with your DC comic books, and then you've got your, over here I got Ghost in the Shell movie poster from 95 with the 95 comic books. So again, symmetry, making it your own. Like I say, in this wall, you know, a lot of people kind of go like, oh dude, if I were you, I'd take those posters down, put up a big old modular space case, and you could put, you know, 100 more figures over there. And for me, if you, like I said, when we get to my Hot Toys piece, there's so much that you could do in this area, but I'd rather have a chair here, like in this area here, and have people be able to sit down and hang out versus having more figures there. Because personally, there's only so many more I would actually want. And my favorite property is probably Clone Wars. You know, I'm a big Star Wars fan, and I really enjoy Clone Wars. And you look at the collection a little bit. I've already done a collection tour, but again, you know, do I really want another 100 figures? You could. I mean, I could afford it. You know, I know many of us could if we really wanted to do it, make those sacrifices to get that stuff. But for me, you know, I wanted something that was more artistic and just less figure based. So I do have a lot of my comics framing my Hot Toys area. Again, like I say, the symmetry piece is highly important. And, you know, for those that start here, you know, you've got kind of a pink and blue theme here with Psylocke, and just kind of varies out from there. But it's, again, some of my favorite covers. This wall is all by an artist named Stanley Lau, which goes by Art Germ. All these are either very rare covers, like 1 in 100, 1 in 200. This was a blind bag, like super rare, Absolute Wonder Woman that I had remarked this year. This was convention exclusive that I had signed by Famke. You know, this is a print I had signed by Leah Williams. This signed by Jason Aaron, probably like one of my favorite comics covers of all. I mean, I'm absolutely crazy good. And so from here, like I say, and then when it comes to my collection piece is, okay, what do I really want? And I think I've told you guys, I've probably had, man, I think I got 43 Hot Toys now, but I've had somewhere upwards of 60 at some point that I had all these shelves filled and was picking up stuff, and then realized, okay, I really didn't like it. So what I decided to do was sit down and decide, okay, what do I really want and what represents, what do I have to have that represents what I like, and then what do I have that it's okay if I don't have representation of it. So big Cap fan, huge Cap fan. So he's front and center, and and his iterations, the Winter Soldier will come, so he'll be up here too. I've got to figure out how I'm gonna redo this because I want those matching bases front and center on the shelf, and I'll do some of the hide the wires once it's all done. But yeah, so I've got my Clone Wars there, my Snyderverse shelves. I do have the and this is, I've decided this is all gonna be InArt. So I'm getting rid of all. I got rid of all my pre-orders for DC that might have been Hot Toys. The only thing I'm gonna keep is this Cyborg, because I mean honestly, Hot Toys killed it. Now if InArt decides to do one, I will go ahead and do that one, but don't know if they really will touch that piece. They seem to be looking at just Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman only, but we'll see. And then everything else is just mainly Star Wars. This is going to be my Marvel shelf right now. I've got the signed Mayfex as a placeholder, Jean Grey, signed by Famke, and then this is my shelf for Arcane, and I'm still thinking about getting a new Jinx. Even in the show, when I watched the show, I didn't like her final act looked at all. I'm a bigger fan of this look here with the braids, but we'll see how it goes, because I might end up picking it up later. We'll see if they drop another VOD. They end up dropping another VOD, then I'll probably have to pair them up. But we'll see, because I really love the VOD. The VOD actually did a great job. But again, but like I say, everything I have here, like I say, it's kind of set up where I've got representation for what I want. So I love this Luke, this Dark Empire Luke, right next to Vader. And I'll actually turn the lights off on the display so you guys can see what that looks like. But at the end of the day, it's really about what I have to have, and then really limiting myself to this area. So I won't expand from here. Other than the fact that I'm still debating if I'm going to put a small shelf here in this corner so I can put my Bark Speeder on and pick up a couple other 501st Deluxes and put on that. But aside from that, I'm not putting up another shelf anywhere. Like I said, I do have a few figures on the wall here too. So I've got, just like my Clone Wars section, like my my early Star Wars area. So I've got, comic books here from Takashi Okazaki and Felipe Masafera, another John Jiang. This is from Maul Shadow Lord, signed and remarked. And I've got some Black Series helmets along with a few posters. The Clone Wars movie poster, of course, where it kicked off the Clone Wars show. I guess the 3D version, not the 2D Tartakovsky, which is goated. And I do have a space right here. Where I'm gonna put the 2D Clone Wars AC-10. He just billed for shipping, so I'm assuming I should see him sometime next week. So, and then my favorite of the movies, which is, of course, I've said this a million times, Episode 3, love Revenge of the Sith, completely, and then you gotta go with the OG original Star Wars, not the New Hope poster, but the actual original theatrical release. And I've got a few comic books over here. Kari Andrews, Boba Fett, Black, White, and Red, with his dad. A signed Jeremy Bullock, Mayfex, Return of the Jedi Boba Fett, which mirrors the one on the other side, which is the Empire Strikes Back. This is Tavarin. By John Jiang, and then this is original 1983. Yeah, Boba Fett. Star Wars with Boba Fett on the cover. So, and again, man, this guy's I'm not doing a review on it, but I might actually just post a short on it. But this dude's crazy good. I can't wait to get Malgus to have a match because that'll give me some symmetry up here. But yeah, so the main thing is, when you're deciding what you're going to do, I think part of what, I want to talk to you guys about, really just, you end up spending a lot of money trying to figure out where you want to go and what you want your collection to look like. And, it moves and changes. Like right now, I'm doing everything. I'm going to get everything up on the walls that I want it, exactly the way it's going to be. And I think I'm pretty close to that now. And once I do that, I'll paint the room. And then this piece of furniture here, which you guys probably see, it's like, man, that thing is hideous. Well, this is the first piece of furniture. One of two pieces of furniture my wife and I got when we first got married. This thing is probably like 28 years old. And so I'm having it, I'm going to have it probably end of the summer, have it reupholstered, have the frame reinforced, and then have it recovered, and probably have it match my Logitech chair. So I've got my Herman Miller here. So I'm probably going to have to do that like black and have them add those little indentions to it, and then have it like with turquoise. So that's probably the goal there. And then of course I've got, those guys that are sitting there chilling. But yeah, and like I said, that's the Bark Speeder right there. That's the deluxe. Well, I guess not the deluxe, is the one with the Heavy Mandalorian and the sidecar. But yeah, so, but yeah, the main thing is, like I say, once I've kind of done this so many times and redone this room, I realize less is more. Now I do have a Transformer section here, and I think you guys have probably seen it on the channel. If not, you can check out that video. It's in my closet. It's not exposed, so like I have to take people to there. But I'll spend a lot of time in my closet going back and forth, changing, throughout the day for, or run up there and grabbing things or whatever. My Hot Toys boxes are there, so that is really the only thing that's not kind of like out and about. So maybe a little bit of a cheat, but for me, they're in a less dust-free area, and it just makes everything so much easier to maneuver and manage without much of an issue. So the other thing is I get questions about is dust. So since I don't have these in silk cabinets, there is a huge issue around dust if you don't take the right precautions. So one is I use really high-end filters in our AC unit, which cuts on dust. I have a Remy Halo, which actually it's a purifier that goes in line on your AC unit that eliminates or minimizes dust. And then I actually keep this vent in here closed, and I rarely run my ceiling fan, and that's actually going to be replaced. But so this room actually stays relatively around the summertime. With the house, we keep it around 72. This room is around 74, which is perfect for me. And what it does is I've noticed that I'll dust here and there. So like I'll probably dust maybe like once a month, and I'll go up here and I'll move figures around. Like I did a big reshuffling the other day, so you'll get a little bit of dust there. And like I said, the silicone figures, the arms are bent, and I touch them to make sure they're okay. And then same thing for here, and those have been bent since I've gotten them. The girls down here, same thing. And I mean, they're relatively new, so they haven't been around here as long as the Ahsokas have, and especially as long as this Ahsoka here. But I think the dust is only an issue. You can control it. I'll probably add a purifier to this room to try to minimize that as well. But it's so not an issue, and I said I come in here, I'll do a full dusting probably every 2 months. I'll come in here and move stuff around and just dust everything completely. But I don't get much accumulation. I mean, like I said, this big desk here, which is kind of dark here, you can see that there's like a little speck there, but for the most part, there's no dust on there. And so the whole thing around having to have your collection stay dust free, I'm sure that's a plus for people who keep it in like Module Space cases, but for the expense for them and things like that, I don't think they're necessary. I think you could, I mean, the filters I buy are not $3,000 like a Logitech case for sure. And then the Halo, I think was maybe 500 bucks, maybe inline purifier. So for the most part, and one thing I like about it too is having them on an open shelf like this makes them moving pretty easy. Wiring everything up was like no problem at all. So, and change stuff up, and I change stuff up all the time. Like I'll move this shelf, the characters on this shelf around, I don't know, probably 20, 30 times. And it's easy because I just basically run the wires down the backside and I tape them down, or I have them in runways, and I can shift it wherever I want. And it's not a big deal, and everything's lit up. Matter of fact, let me pause this real quick. I'm going to, well, I guess not for you guys to pause it, but I'm gonna turn all the lights off so you guys can see what that looks like. All right, so this is what it looks like when I just have the window open and all the lights off. So again, this is how I normally run the room during my work day. So like I say, just still 2 lamps there, and then the lights from the seats, under the desk, I mean. So still pretty good visibility. That's actually brighter than it looks. And of course those guys there. And like I say, I have it on a separate switch so I can have all the key components that light up without actually having to turn everything on. And I like that. I like it a lot, and just makes it so much easier to just have that. And then especially when it starts getting closer to the end of the day, when the sun goes down, those things are super bright. You know, this flicker in here, it just really kind of pops in the room. And those guys there. So, but yeah, I guess the biggest thing is like you can make this super easy. You can make it however you want it to be. But what I would always suggest is spend some time, you know, looking at other people's videos, see what you think about how this collecting game works and what making your room your own. But I would definitely suggest is keep as much natural light in your room as you possibly can. It does make a difference for your own mental health. And then also, if you're really that afraid of your figures getting direct sunlight issues, like none of mine are really direct sunlight. I mean, this Boba Fett does in the evenings, the way the sun sets, but I don't care. I mean, it's like, I don't really mind that big of a deal. And I can always close the blind if I wanted to, but I don't, you know, so. But yeah, I just wanted to kind of talk to you guys about how I collect. Again, like I say, this white raw here is super bright, even with the light out. I mean, with the lights off. So, but yeah, let me know what you guys think. You know, comment below how you are handling your collection room, your ideal collection room. Did this help you at all? Did you get some insight of what you should and should not do? I mean, I'm definitely not telling you don't do big modular space cases and things like that, but what I would definitely do is before you make that kind of investment, find out if that's really the best fit for you, and if this is a room that you're going to go in and sit in or use on a regular basis. You know, because I know people have collection rooms, they just go and sit in a room and just look at their toys for hours, but for me, that's not how I roll. So I want a room where I can do that and still have it functional for so many other things. So, but yeah, let me know what you guys comment down below. Appreciate you guys hanging out. Thanks a lot. Later.